This is episode 33 of You Don't Know Anything About Women. I'm your host, Roy Calvin. Let's get right into our first post. Girls, what do you think about guys hitting on you after they've been turned down? So let's say you're at a bar or whatever. You see a guy shoot their shot with a girl and she turns him down. Then, later on, they try again, but this time on you. Do you still feel flattered, offended, or what? In the past, I've tried to flirt with someone and want to try again with someone else after it doesn't work out, but I don't want to make someone feel offended by being a second choice or anything like that. So this guy's asking for girls to give their thoughts, but I've decided to chime in with my advice, and I always say that girls on Reddit, their opinion is basically meaningless. However, there is one comment that outlines how I'm going to start my response to this, so let me read that for you first. It says, I honestly have never noticed. I'm usually focused on my friends or whoever I'm talking to. I don't think this would be an issue unless the girl that turned you down first was my friend. So as I alluded to, this is a girl on Reddit, so I don't know if she's ever been flirted with in her life, but this is basically what happens. No one's going to notice if you're around talking to different girls. I think this mindset you have is really common when it comes to approaching girls, whether it's on the street or in bars. Like, you feel like if you do that, everybody is watching your every move. Everybody knows that you just approached that girl and tried to talk to her or whatever. But really, the amount of people in a bar or on the street that see you do that is minuscule, and the people that give a fuck one way or the other is even less. So wondering if they feel flattered or offended really doesn't deserve any thought at all. They probably haven't seen anything. They're definitely not going to bars just to people watch all night. This guy then says that he doesn't want to make someone feel offended by being a second choice. So as we've covered, they're probably not going to know. But even if they did get offended, who cares? I don't know. I see this a lot on Reddit where you're thinking about the girl's feelings too much. She can just reject you if she doesn't want to talk to you. Let's just assume the worst case rare scenario where this second girl that you want to talk to did see you go up to another girl and get rejected or whatever. You can either go up and talk to this second girl, and there is some chance that she will like you and whatever, she'll give you her number or come home with you that night. Or, okay, she saw that and is offended or whatever at it and doesn't want to talk to you. And the other option is that you just don't talk to her and then you never know. So talking to her gives you the opportunity that everything works out how you want it to, and not taking that chance gives you a 0% chance to get what you want. So why wouldn't you just go and talk to her anyway? I mean, even if you knew for a fact that this second girl saw you flirting with this first one, you should still go talk to her. Who cares? That's still the decision that gives you a chance. I have unfortunately had to download TikTok recently and been on it a little bit for business purposes, and I get shown videos there of guys approaching girls, and some are real and legit approaches of guys that are trying to get the girl's number or whatever, but I also see other ones that are just completely fabricated for entertainment purposes. It's a real thing that's happening. They didn't fake the whole interaction. The girls are not paid actors, but the guy knows it's not going to go well, and he's just doing it for shocking content that gets views. I bring this up because I see these videos of one guy going up to a group of 4 girls and just literally one after the other, hey, you're cute, do you want to go out sometime? Hey, you're cute, do you want to go out sometime? And yeah, obviously every girl in that situation is gonna shoot that guy down or you down if that was your approach as well, because it's just too transparent and reeks of desperation. So I'm afraid that you have that scenario built inside your head, like these guys that I see on TikTok who are just clearly doing it for the views, 4 girls who are all in a group, ask every one of them out. You think that if you go up to one girl in this group over here, then 20 minutes later talk to a girl over here in this group, that they're just going to be like, ooh, go away, you were just talking to that girl there. That's totally not going to happen in 99% of cases. But if it does, then whatever, move on. Never give any power to the words of girls who are not going to have sex with you, because who cares what they think if they're not going to give you what you want? Despite all these thoughts that I've given up until this point, I also do feel like I can ruin the energy somewhere temporarily, and sometimes it's just best to leave that situation. If I've been hanging around on one street and talking to a few girls and okay, it's just not really my day up until this point, I'm getting rejected, no girls are talking to me or whatever. Sometimes I will just be like, okay, I gotta get off this street and go to another one because I'm just not feeling it here right now. So my point is that if you find yourself in a situation like that, then you can move to another bar or whatever if you want to. And it's not giving up, it's just acknowledging, okay, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, but I want to do it in a different environment for a little while. I kind of feel like this place has gotten stale for me. I need to go somewhere fresh. Okay, let's go on to the next post for this episode. Giving up right before it gets going. I'm 25 and have been back on dating apps for the past 3 weeks and thought things were going great because I was actually getting matches. Of course, half of them ghost after a couple messages. That's cool since there are other options. But man, I matched with a girl that I didn't even realize was great until it was too late. texting every day, laughing and figuring things out about each other for 1.5 weeks. I was asking her to hop on a call or go on a date soon. She told me she was going through a move and she mentioned some other problems she had going on at the time, but none of them were too serious. She just had a good amount to do at that time. Whatever, I told her I understood and we kept talking. The next day she tells me she doesn't have the capacity to really get to know someone right now and it was just bad timing. I told her things were chill and that she doesn't have to put any pressure on us at the moment. I said I'd probably be here if she wanted to reach out again after things settled, but she never responded. This shit feels like a breakup. How do you just keep going now that someone you thought you had a good connection with will just drop you out of nowhere? I don't understand the part about how you say that you didn't realize how great she was until it was too late. Because you saying that implies that you think that you should have done something differently. But there's really none of your own mistakes in this post that you acknowledge. You just kind of say how it sucks that she decided she didn't want things to go anywhere. This is kind of a simple post, but there's a lot of things that I want to touch on here. So you said that you were texting every day for 1.5 weeks. It's not the worst length of time that I've heard because, I've read posts on here before of guys talking for months before they ask the girl out or whatever. So 1.5 weeks is not that bad, but I could see myself doing that on a dating app with a girl who replies once or twice a day, which is a pacing I would match, by the way. I wouldn't be sending her multiple messages a day and expecting her to get back to all of those. You say that you were texting with her every day. Now, I'm just going to assume that it's multiple times a day, not just sending one message every day for those 1.5 weeks. So if you're having full-on conversations with this girl in the first couple days, you should ask her out on day 2 or day 3 as a rule of thumb. I'm assuming that you have long conversations because you say that you're laughing and figuring things out about each other. Of course, there's going to be some of that through messaging on dating apps, but I just get the impression that you've done too much of it before inviting her out. Which brings me to my next issue. What you wrote is, I was asking her to hop on a call or go on a date soon. So to me, that sounds like another common problem that I see on apps and on Reddit, which is okay, I'm here to help you with this. But it sounds like you didn't actually invite her on a date. You didn't give her a, hey, I'm free on this day, so let's hang out. It sounds like what you said to her is, yeah, we should go on a date sometime soon, which is not how it works. That's way too ambiguous of an invite. You need to be specific about when you want to meet her. You don't really ever just want to put the ball in their court and be like, yeah, okay, let's go on a date sometime if you have time. Girls are bad at planning, they're bad at leading, and a lot of guys are really, based on the posts that I read on this podcast. So don't leave it up to them. You got to take the initiative and do a legitimate invitation to a date. Now, I will shit on this girl a little bit here because she tells you she doesn't have the capacity to really get to know someone right now. So, okay, if that's the case, why the fuck is she on a dating app? But it's probably not the real reason that she doesn't want to meet you. I would guess that she's probably talking to someone else and would rather meet him. Or yeah, it could be that she doesn't have the capacity to meet somebody, but a lot of girls are just fucking lazy and would rather stay at home and watch Netflix all night instead of going out and meeting a guy. I think they just get these dating apps to get those dopamine hits of, oh, guys like me. Okay, that's great. Now I'm just gonna crawl into bed and diddle myself to fucking whatever Netflix show is popular these days. I don't fucking know. But either way, she did indeed waste your time, but that's just how dating apps are. If you're gonna use dating apps, you gotta accept that a lot of your time is going to be wasted. But if you take advice like I gave about inviting the girls out quickly and stuff, you can minimize the amount of time that's wasted. Your final question is, how do you keep going dating knowing that you had a good connection? And even if you have a good connection, the girls can just drop you out of nowhere. I preach that on this podcast. That's why you should be dating multiple women, because they will just fucking leave you even when you think everything is going well. But especially in your case on apps, and I think in the comments you say that you do have a couple of women that you're talking to on there, so that's great. But remember this, nothing matters until you meet. You think that you've texted every day and you've built up some kind of connection with this girl, you make each other laugh, you have things in common, nothing matters until you meet. And the same goes for street approach like I do. If I go up and talk to a girl and we have a nice interaction there for, 5 or 10 minutes, I say, okay, let's hang out sometime, and we exchange our phone numbers. That's great and all, but that interaction only exists in that moment unless I get her to come out with me again. It's like the past only has a meaning once you meet. Then we solidify, okay, everything that we did through texting or through that short interaction that we had on the street, now that is actually something that happened in the past. But until you get that actual meeting, the past might as well just not exist. It's not real life. And that goes for dating apps in general. When you don't meet, nothing matters. Nothing is real life. One more piece of advice I want to give you is that she said it's just bad timing and you told her things were chill and she doesn't have to put any pressure on the situation. and you said you'll be here if she wanted to reach out again after things settled. I don't think that was a very good message that you sent. I don't like saying, yeah, I'll probably be here. It kind of sounds desperate, even though I think you're trying to present this as if it's just a cool, oh, I don't really care situation, but I don't get that vibe from it. I feel like you care a lot. So it's unfortunate that you sent a message like that, but all is not lost. It's not a deal breaker, I don't think. And you said that she never responded to it, but like, there's no need for her to respond to that. She'll respond to you in the future if she feels so inclined, but she probably won't. Girls just don't take the initiative like that. So my advice for you is that you can send her a message in a couple months if you want. I mean, just like the post that I was talking about previous to this one, you gotta shoot your shot. You can either send the message and there's a bit of a chance that maybe she'll want to meet you then, or you don't send the message and then there's 0% chance that anything is gonna happen. But in the meantime, build up your roster of women that you are dating, because it's exactly like you said. You can have a good connection, but they can still just drop you out of nowhere. Okay, let's go on to post number 3 for this episode. A girl I liked accidentally improved my life, and now I don't know what to do. Around 2 months ago, I saw this girl at a fair and thought she was really cute. I ended up asking her for her Instagram, which is something I normally would have never done. At first, I genuinely wanted to get to know her. We talked once and she was really enthusiastic, but it only lasted one night. After that, our communication became pretty one-sided. She used to like some of my posts and stories, but eventually stopped. She also stopped responding to my messages. To be fair, I rarely messaged her because I didn't want to come off as desperate or creepy. The confusing part is that she still sees most of the things I post, but beyond that, there really isn't much interaction between us. Here's the weird part. Before I met her, I spent most of my free time grinding mobile games. I didn't really care about how I dressed. I usually just wore whatever was convenient, even when going out. I wasn't doing much with my hobbies either, but because I liked her, I started trying to improve myself. I got more interested in fashion and started paying attention to what I wear. Even when I'm just going out casually, I care a lot more about my appearance now. I got back into art and started posting my work online. Recently, I made my first animation and people actually liked it. Some reposted it, commented on it, and it made me realize how much I enjoy creating things. I also got back into singing and playing guitar, hobbies I had neglected for a long time. At first, I was doing these things partly because I hoped she'd notice me or become interested, but now I'm realizing I genuinely enjoy them for myself. The problem is that I still like her. Part of me wants to give it one last shot if a natural opportunity comes up. Another part of me feels like the lack of responses is already my answer and I should just move on. Has anyone else experienced this? A crush that never really became anything, but ended up changing your life for the better? And based on what I've described, what would you do in my situation? Well, this is a good post because it seems like you want to change your life and become the guy who gets this girl that you met at a fair. So to address your question of has anyone else experienced this, a crush that never really became anything but ended up changing your life for the better, I don't think I had any one single crush that made me do that, or one moment that made me change everything, but it was just a building of different things that led me to the realization of, okay, right now I'm not the guy who gets the girls that I want, so something's got to fucking change here. I can't keep going down this path where I just want to have a massive amount of success with women, but it's not coming to me at all. So in that sense, I totally understand what's going on with you. It's funny, this kind of thing has come up in all 3 posts. Just the next day, like, the magic is gone, and that's how it happens. Anyone who's, like, approached drunk girls or whatever, this is, like, every fucking drunk interaction you can think of. Like, if the girl has been drinking, then just the next day, nothing matters at all. Like, you are not even in her life. The magic of that night is gone. Very rarely is there ever any, oh yeah, we should go hang out and get a drink sometime. It's just fucking over. I know in your case, this girl was not drunk or anything, but I'm just saying, in drunken situations, this type of thing is insanely common. Which is why it is often better to try to like go on an Insta date in that moment. Just instantly get her to hang out with you. Said she liked some of your posts and stories, but eventually stopped. Also stopped responding to your messages. And to be fair, you rarely messaged her because you didn't want to come off as desperate or creepy. The fear that you're going to come off as desperate or creepy is very common on Reddit. It's hard to pinpoint exactly what happened here because messaging too much is also definitely a problem. I mean, I think most guys are inclined to message too much instead of not enough. But I think your problem is that you didn't invite her out. Like, I think the next day or the next day after that, you should have sent her a message about, okay, let's go and hang out on this day. Because you've still got some momentum then. Like, she was still messaging you at first. And you say that she still sees most things that you post on Instagram, but she doesn't like them or there's no interaction or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean anything at all. girls mindlessly watch things on Instagram. It happens to me. It happens to everyone. I mean, I don't use Instagram that much, but I do post, I don't know, maybe like 5 stories a year or something. And I get girls watching that I was hitting on like fucking 5 years ago. And I don't know, it's just one of life's great mysteries. Like, why don't you just unfollow me? But they don't. They just keep watching, even though, yeah, they have no interest in me at all. So let's get out of this one interaction with this girl at the fair and get into the part where you say that you used to spend most of your time grinding mobile games, didn't care about how you dressed, but then because you liked her, you started trying to improve yourself. Yeah, that's good. That's what you want. Maybe you needed a moment like this. Grinding mobile games just seems like a fucking huge waste of time. I used to do stuff like that too, not mobile games specifically, but just I think about all the time that I wasted on shit when I was younger, and now I'm like, holy shit, I could have fucking been out talking to girls and trying to improve my dating life. But instead, I was just trying to accomplish something in a video game or whatever that means absolutely fucking nothing. Nobody cares about it. It just wasted my time, and no girls give a fuck about it. Not that you should make every decision in life based on what girls are gonna like, but you know, there's a time and place for video games, and it's not playing for fucking 8 hours a day when you're 20 years old and there's lots of fucking hot girls around that you could be talking to. I have way too many memories like that. I remember going out to bars when I was younger with my friends. I lived like really near an area with a lot of bars. Like, it would have been perfect to pull girls home with. But despite us going out every weekend, I just never fucking tried to talk to any or bring any home with me. Just so much fucking wasted time. Getting drunk with your friends can be fun too, but it's not really productive when at the end of the day, what every guy wants is women. Same with fashion too. I used to just kind of wear whatever, and I mean, I'm not a fucking obsessive fashion guy now either, but like just a little tiny bit of effort in defining some sort of personal style, I think has helped me at least. I really relate to this line that you wrote about. Even when I'm just going out casually, I care a lot more about my appearance now. I totally had that realization too. I mean, that just goes hand in hand if you start approaching girls on the street. You know, anytime you go out, you're going to have an opportunity maybe to talk to a girl. So, okay, I got to be on point. I can't just walk to the grocery store in my fucking pajamas. Like, I could meet a girl. I need to be prepared. These things that you're getting back into, like playing guitar, that's perfect. Those are like creative hobbies. I feel like those are things that will help you with girls. Not like a girl will be like, oh, you play guitar? Let me fuck you. But I just think it gets the correct wires in your brain to start firing. Not in a sense that she needs to know it's something that you do. It just like puts you on the right path of, okay, here's how your brain needs to work to get girls. And you're helping it out by doing these creative things. So that's great stuff. And then you say, I was doing these things partly because I hoped she'd notice me or become interested, but now I'm realizing I genuinely enjoy them for myself. So that's good. You might have started them from like a negative place in which the girl had too much meaning and too much influence on your decisions, but now you genuinely like them. Okay, that's good, because if you just kept doing them for her, hoping that she notices and it makes her like you, well, that could all come crashing down at some point in the future if you realize that she's not interested in you at all. But there's nothing wrong with this situation being what gave you the kick in the ass to make you realize some things that you probably should be doing in your life. Now, you say you have a problem, and I think your problem is a problem. You say the problem is that I still like her. Those are some heavy words. I'm not trying to make a mountain out of a molehill here, but you met this girl one time, and I said earlier in the episode that, like, if you meet a girl one time, it means basically nothing until you meet again and establish yourself as like, okay, we are two people that know each other and hang out. But right now, that first interaction means basically nothing. Then you talked on Instagram for a little while. This is not a situation where you can say that you like this girl. Again, I'm not trying to dissect your choice of words here, but to say that you still like the girl, I hope that's not the case. I can understand if you say like, oh, I'm still interested in her, I still want to pursue her, I still would like to go on a date with her. Okay, totally fair. But I would just avoid saying that you like girls after one time meeting them. And you say part of you wants to give it one last shot if a natural opportunity comes up. Another part of you feels like the lack of responses is already your answer and you should just move on. And you also reiterate in the comments again, like, oh, her not responding is probably her response. But why? Why are you answering that question for her? If you want to ask her out, then ask her out. I don't like how you say you might give it one last shot if a natural opportunity comes up. What's a natural opportunity? Do you think she's just going to come to you and say, hey, would you like to invite me out on a date? Because that's not going to happen. You need to message her and ask her out if that's what you want. Don't wait for the natural opportunity. In some ways, you give me the impression of a guy who is like trying to be too cool. Like you don't want to take that leap and just ask her out. You're like, oh, maybe an opportunity will come up. And earlier you were like, oh, I don't want to be desperate, so I'm not going to message her that much. No, just we got to go after what we want here. And don't decide her answer for her. You're saying that her lack of responses is already your answer? No, it's not. It could be, but you won't know until you ask. Like, that's the theme of this episode. I keep talking about this over and over again. You gotta ask for what you want. Don't assume that it's over. If you don't do anything, then yeah, it is over. You're not going to meet her. You should move on in the sense that you should try talking to other girls and get some other girls that you like and hang out with them. But there's no need to move on from this girl when you haven't even asked her properly on a date. So your final question is, what would you do in my situation? I would ask this girl out and I would keep pursuing these hobbies. One caveat I should mention here is that I go through times in my life where I'm just obsessed with girls and I don't want to have any hobbies besides girls. Like, girls are my hobby. But I also recognize that maybe that's not the optimal way to approach life. So I think you've got a good balance going here where you've got some nice, healthy, creative hobbies, but also it's giving you a kick in the ass to like make your appearance better because you realize you want to better yourself so you can better your chances with women. All right, I'm moving on to post number 4 for this episode. How to find frugal, like-minded women? I am 33 years old and I am very frugal. I dislike working and have a very flexible reselling job where I find free dumpster items and sell them on eBay. I make around $30,000 after taxes, spend around $15,000, and plan to retire in 2 years living on $15,000 per year from stocks. I feel like my lifestyle doesn't allow for much success in the dating world though. I've never had a girlfriend. I don't have a car, it's too expensive. I keep the AC set at 85 during the summers to save on electricity. The most expensive thing I do is travel internationally twice a year using credit card points. It probably costs like $1,000 in total because I stay in hostels and home cook my meals while walking a lot to see the architecture. Do you have any suggestions or advice? This is a massively popular post. It got over 1,000 comments. And at first I was surprised that like most of the comments are shitting on this guy saying that he needs to search for homeless women, or based on his hobbies, it seems like he'll find the woman that's right for him in a dumpster. And I was prepared to give some real advice, which I guess I still will, but it was pointed out in the comments that this guy just posts basically the same thing every few months and isn't really willing to make any changes. And so I did some research of my own, and sure enough, he's posted about how he's struggling to date in an environment that's built around status and hustle and consumption. A few years ago, he wrote that he hit his income ceiling and he was looking for ways to make more money. And also just a few months ago, he wrote a post saying that he's swimming in credit card debt and just trying to make reselling work. So the original post kind of gave me the impression like, oh, he doesn't make much money, but also he's really good with money and can survive on a low amount for a long time, but he has a lot of credit card debt, so it's kind of hard to believe anything that he says. But okay, it's possible that this newest post has marked a shift in what you're looking for because it says, how do you find frugal, like-minded women? So maybe you have accepted that probably a normal woman is not really going to be interested in you and that you need to find a woman who kind of lives a similar lifestyle. So if we think about it from that perspective, I mean, your dating pool is incredibly small as it is. I mean, you're really fucking frugal to only be spending $15,000 a year. In Dallas, by the way, which is not New York or LA prices, but it's still a major city. It's going to cost a lot of money. If you plan to retire in 2 years living on $15,000 per year from stocks, I would think that you should consider moving to a cheap country to make that money last much longer. I know this is a dating podcast, but I bring that up because you say that the most expensive thing that you do is travel internationally twice a year. So it seems like you're open to not being in the US all the time. And as we've already established, $15,000 is not really much money in the US, but you could go to a country where that's, closer to normal. And therefore, it might be acceptable to the women in that country. It might give you a lot more options. But because you post so frequently about finding women, it seems like it's pretty important to you that you do find one eventually. So you really need to look at what you want your life to be like in 10 years and think, will living on $15,000 in dividends from stocks let me fulfill that lifestyle? If you want to be married and if you want to have a couple kids, I mean, $15,000 is probably not going to cut it. I know that somehow in this country, there's a lot of people on fucking food stamps who have 6 kids. I don't know how that works. I'm going to assume that you don't want that lifestyle, but maybe you do. But if your desire is to lead a normal life with a wife and kids, $15,000 just really isn't going to cut it. Now, if you think hard about everything and you decide, okay, I actually want to be single forever, or I want to find a woman who doesn't want to have any kids, then okay, fair enough. I'm not here to tell you what you should want in life. But the path you're going down seems like a lifestyle that would maybe be suitable for a single guy, not for a guy who has a wife and kids. So I think something's got to give here. If you want me to tell you exactly where to find frugal, like-minded women, I mean, I really don't know. I personally would just do street approach, and eventually you will come across a woman that aligns with your values more so than others. But if dating and maybe getting married and having kids someday is so important to you, I think you need to change your lifestyle and you got to make some more money. It's not surprising to me that you're 33 years old because for myself, I feel like the lifestyle you describe, like I could have been happy with that at like 25 years old, and you have the freedom of not having a job and you have some money, and okay, you don't have a lavish lifestyle, but that's not really something that I need either. But then, yeah, as time goes on, you start thinking, you know what, maybe I would like to have a long-term girlfriend or a wife and some kids someday. And you realize that you've got to make some lifestyle changes that will align more with those aspects that you're going after. So I can't really give any more advice like that. My advice to meet women is always to just approach them, whether it's at a mall or a grocery store or something like that. And as you improve those approaching skills, you will probably run into some women that maybe don't line 100% with this lifestyle that you've chosen, but they might somewhat. And also, you need to look at where you want to be in 5 years or 10 years. And if that involves having a wife or kids, I mean, you've got to make some changes to this lifestyle. Just making $15,000 a year probably isn't going to allow you to live that kind of lifestyle. And if you think it will, you got to get your head out of your ass. Okay, let's go on to one final post for this episode. Too passive equals ghosted? I'm 27 and recently got back into dating after a 7-year relationship and had my first experience from a dating app and in ghosting. I'm not devastated by it, but I'd love outside perspectives on whether I handled things well or if there's anything I could improve for future dates. I matched with a 24-year-old woman who honestly felt like my ideal type in terms of looks, personality, intellect, and career. We had great chemistry over text before meeting, lots of long conversations, walls of text, subtle flirting, compliments, etc. Before our first date, she specifically told me, I absolutely do not want to rush anything. I want to see if there's a genuine connection and not rush into anything. Because of that, I intentionally tried not to be overly forward physically. Date number 1, I picked her up and we went to her favorite tea spot. We ended up talking for 4+ hours and seemed to genuinely click. We had lots in common, aligned goals, and easy conversation. At the end, I gave her a hug, we exchanged numbers, and moved off the app to texting. I paid for the date. Afterward, texting continued consistently and enthusiastically, so I planned a second date around her interests, an aquarium visit followed by a nice restaurant with her favorite cuisine. Date number 2. She drove herself this time. The date again felt extremely positive. She specifically told me she was having an amazing time at the aquarium, and dinner conversation flowed so well that we stayed past closing. She was smiling a lot, playing with her hair, sharing family photos with me, and even insisted I try her food from her plate. One thing I overthink in hindsight is that I wasn't especially physically forward. Examples, I didn't hold her hand while walking through the restaurant, I didn't walk on the side of the road when walking her back to her car at the end of the night, and I only hugged her goodbye instead of going for a kiss. It was raining hard and chaotic outside. Plus, I remembered her earlier comment about not wanting to rush things, so I played it safe given it was just a second date. What confuses me is that after the date, she texted me first saying, I made it home safely. I had such an amazing night with you today and would love to see you again really, really soon. We texted normally for a bit afterward, and I was gearing up to plan our next date, but she suddenly stopped responding entirely. I sent one respectful follow-up, basically saying that I'd love to see her again, but if she wasn't interested anymore, I understood, but I never heard back. So I guess I'm wondering, does it sound like I genuinely misread things or failed to escalate romantically enough? Or is this just one of those modern dating situations where someone can seem extremely interested and still disappear? I just skimmed through the comments here, and there's 2 that are actually useful, and of course they've been replied to a lot because they're controversial and people don't like them, but they're actually giving good advice. The problem is that the OP didn't reply to 2 of those, but he responded to a bunch of other ones just saying like, gotcha, thanks for the response and stuff like that. So he went out of his way to write thank you on the posts maybe that he wants to believe are true, but not the ones that are actually giving legitimate advice. So because of that, I don't know if the OP actually wants actual real advice or if he just wants to live in some fantasy world where the reason that she stopped responding is outlined in the other comments like, oh, she found someone who she felt she was more compatible with, or she got back with her ex. I don't know how somebody can just so confidently say, oh, she got back with her ex, when there is no mention of any kind of ex in this story at all. People talk out of their ass on Reddit a lot, even when they have minimal dating experience. So yeah, I don't know if OP actually wants dating advice that will help him, but for the listeners of this podcast, let's go through my advice anyway, because you can find it useful in your own dating life. So just to give a summary of these 2 dates again, the first date, he took her to her favorite tea spot and they stayed for 4 hours. He gave her a hug at the end. And then the second date, he also planned around her interests, which is an aquarium visit and followed by a nice restaurant. Oh, also, by the way, he paid for that first date. And I'm assuming he did on the second one. I don't know for sure. But yeah, the second date, he says it felt extremely positive, and he's second guessing himself about how he didn't hold her hand while walking through the restaurant, and that he once again hugged her at the end of this second date instead of going for a kiss. And these decisions were basically all made on the foundation of what she said before they met, which is, I absolutely do not want to rush anything. I want to see if there's a genuine connection. So look, you cannot give any significance to things like that when girls say them. Basically, nothing matters till you're in person. And of course, I think that after every date, you should be trying to get this girl to come home with you. And then once you get her home, you can try to get physical, and if she rejects you, then okay, she's not into it on that day. It's kind of like girls want to give themselves an out in case they don't like you. Like if she didn't like you and she didn't want to go on a second date, then okay, she's already established before the first one, hey, I'm trying to take things slow. And then if she doesn't like you, she can use the excuse, yeah, sorry, it's going too fast for me. I don't want to date anybody right now, actually. This is kind of like, girls I've approached on the street, whether we set up a date later or just go on an Insta date right then and there. They can sometimes say like, oh, I got to meet my friends at this time later on though. And I just acknowledge like, yeah, okay, whatever, no problem. But then as you hang out for a while, those plans that she had just seem to disappear. They never come up again because she likes me then and she wants to keep hanging out. And her plans probably never existed. They're just there as like a backup plan. Hey, remember that I said I got to meet my friends? Okay, I'm going to go right now. It's the same situation for you. If she likes you, then she's probably okay with going home with you and getting physical with you and step by step getting in bed with you. Not every time, but if she likes you, she's probably willing to go further than you think because you don't even think that she was willing to come home with you or even kiss you on that first date. But like if she liked you, she probably would have been down with more than you think. And then on the second date, you're still playing it safe. And I don't mean because you only hugged her goodbye again instead of going for a kiss. Like, I don't even bother with any type of physical escalation that's not in my apartment. Maybe I will hold the girl's hand as we're walking home if I feel like it. But even that, it's not necessary. I mean, you should have invited her home with you. If not on the first date, then definitely the second one. And if you get her home and you try to kiss her and she says, hey, I want to slow things down here and not rush things. Okay, then you can believe what she's telling you. But also remember that it's often not a no. It's often a not right now. One of the golden rules I live by in dating is that I like to see progression each date. So admittedly, as I've gotten more and more success, I have less of a tolerance for girls that won't have sex with me on the first date, and especially girls that won't come home with me on the first date. But not having sex on the first date is not a deal breaker. I just need to see progression. Like, date one, let's say I try to get her to come home with me and she doesn't want to. Okay, if I deem that she's special enough that I want to meet her again, I will invite her out. And then date two, let's say, okay, she doesn't have sex with me, but she does come home with me. All right, we got further than date one. She's coming home with me at least. Then let's say on date two, she wasn't okay with kissing me. Maybe she kissed me like one little peck for a second and wouldn't do any more. But then on date three, she comes out and we actually make out and maybe I feel her up a little bit. All right, I can accept that. Things are progressing. Again, like I'm going for sex on the first date all the time. And I know that can seem a little intimidating to a guy who doesn't have that mindset yet, but I'm just establishing that sex is not necessarily a requirement on the first date, but you should always go for it and see how far you can get and always look for progression throughout your dates if you can't have sex on the first night. You got this text after your second date saying that she made it home safely and she had an amazing night and would love to see you again really, really soon. I mean, nobody really knows what happens in these situations. I've definitely gotten texts like this as well, where, yeah, she texts first and says how it was great. And you think, okay, great. It seems like we're going to see each other again. Then, like, the next day, I'm blocked or I message her again and she doesn't respond or whatever. So that's why you want to keep your options open, man, and have a few women around that you're actively pursuing. Then after she stopped responding, you said that you sent one respectful follow-up basically saying that you'd love to see her again, but if she wasn't interested anymore, you understood and you never heard back. I do not like text messages like that. Like, it's too much of an ultimatum you're giving her. You're acknowledging that it's over. And it also seems like guys expect a response to that text message. And you as well, because you explicitly say, I never heard back. Were you expecting a response from that? You, closed the book on your whole story together. You should not send messages that explicitly close things, because now let's say that she does want to message you again in 2 weeks and realizes she wants to see you again. It's a lot more awkward now, and it seems like it would take a lot more mental capacity from her to reopen a conversation with you. What I think you should have done is when she stopped responding entirely, just maybe like the next week send something totally unrelated to that date you were planning. Just give her an easy way to get back into a conversation with you. And maybe she'll respond to whatever you said, or maybe she'll say, "Oh, I forgot that we were planning that date, but I was really busy on that day and I forgot to get back to you. And okay, let's go out." So in your final paragraph here, you ask, does it sound like you genuinely misread things or just failed to escalate romantically enough? I don't really think it's a case of misreading things. I think you've been ill-informed of how your date should go. And I mean, yeah, I guess you did misread how she said that she doesn't want to rush anything, but I definitely think that you failed to escalate romantically enough. Now, even if you did escalate, could you still be in this exact same situation? Yes, absolutely. But I just know what's worked for me over the years, and in most cases, it's trying to escalate quickly. I mean, you said yourself in this post, I played it safe given it was just the second date. Playing it safe will get you nowhere. And I think you need to make a mindset shift there because you say it was just the second date. But a more helpful way to approach things is like, holy shit, it's the second date and we still haven't had sex yet. I'm going to put in the real effort and hope that it actually happens on date number 2. Because if it gets to a third date without sex, oh my God, that's unheard of. So escalate and take chances and try to get the girl to come home with you on the first date. Based on what I've read, I think you'll be surprised how quickly you can escalate things, even if that escalation does just end at her sitting on your couch after the date. Alright, that's it for this episode of You Don't Know Anything About Women. That was a bit of a rough one to get through. I'm just getting over bronchitis here, so if you think I sounded extremely nasally like Lois from Family Guy in this episode, that's why, but thanks for sticking through it. Make sure you check out the link in the show notes if you want to get in touch or support the show, and I'll see you on the next one.